You are listening to the All Metal Mode podcast with your host, Mike Hare. Join me and Gypsy Jules every Monday night and Matt Hoffman and myself every Tuesday night. Listen in as we discuss a wide range of metal detecting and related topics such as technical, equipment, talk to guests, and so much more. Sit back, join in on the drinking game. For those new to the show, every time I say relic machine, you need to do a shot. These are the rules, I didn't make them up. We hope you enjoy this episode of All Metal Mode. Hey everybody, welcome to the All Metal Mode podcast with myself and Gypsy Jules. And tonight we have a really special guest. I usually talk about nothing anybody wants to hear for about 5 to 10 minutes every show. I have nothing tonight. I had a rough day. Not horrible. I'm not complaining. It was okay. I'm working on not a whole lot of sleep, so I have nothing tonight. Other than I will say, excited about tonight's guest. DK, his YouTube channel's Adventures in Dirt. Check it out. It's really cool. I've definitely enjoyed watching it. And yeah, so there you go. You guys ready to just jump in?
Yes.
Yes. It sounded like I surprised you. Oh, that's funny.
Hi, DK. It's wonderful to have you tonight.
Well, hey guys, how you doing? Yeah, hey, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate you guys, reaching out and saying would you like to be a guest. I'm definitely honored. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Those of you that don't know DK, be sure. I'm sure we'll be putting a link tonight in the comments below to DK's YouTube channel. But DK has a YouTube channel called Adventures in Dirt, and he also does another thing that he just started up. And I'm going to hand it over to DK and let him tell you about his channel and then his new thing that he's just started up. And then we'll get started asking a few questions and get going from there. How's that sound, DK?
Yeah, that sounds fine. Yeah. So everyone, Adventures in Dirt is my YouTube channel, and I think I started it all like most others, thinking that I was going to put a lot of digging videos up, and I found myself just not really, digging a lot of great finds. I'm here in Colorado, and I go out as much as I can, but not too many finds to make some great videos, or at least what I thought was great videos. So I came up with this idea to start this thing called the Weekly Dirt. And the Weekly Dirt is sort of a weekly compilation show. I call it a show of my favorite YouTube channels, or at least the YouTube channels that have caught my eye the week prior. So all week long I'm watching videos, and things that stand out to me, new channels that are doing a good job, some great finds that pop out at me. I subbed over 460 channels, and I'm watching as much as I can throughout the week without getting fired. And I'll kind of keep track of what is interesting to me, and I'll pull 4 or 5 of them out and put together this episode called The Weekly Dirt, where I show them to you and kind of have some commentary in between the video clips and talk up the channels and their finds for that week. And then at the end of it, I also have some announcements where I do giveaway announcements and other special announcements, things that are important to us within our community. And so that's the Weekly Dirt. I put that on every Sunday at 3 p.m. And that's been going really well. And then just recently, I started something new, as Gypsy alluded to. I started a face-to-face interview show called Digger Spotlight. And what Digger Spotlight is it is a face-to-face interview show on video, and there's a little chat box available. It's just a streaming YouTube live stream show, to where I will grab notable diggers in our community and I will interview them. Just questions from the audience, from the chat room, questions that are prepared. We'll talk about, what's going on with them and what they're about, and try to get sort of, try to dig up a little different side of these notable diggers in our community, and I've only done 3 so far. I've got my 4th one coming up, and I'm real excited for every time I'm able to get a guest. I'm really excited about it. So I put a lot into it. I put a lot into preparation and put it out there. And for those of you that want to take a peek at that, just go on over to Adventures in Dirt on YouTube, look for Digger Spotlight, and look at the few of them that we've done. And so that's the new thing I'm doing. And, I'm also continuing to do digging videos, trying to my best to put out what I can. But you all know how hard that is. So,
hey, TK, this is kind of way off the subject and not how I wanted to start. But you actually, as you were talking, I've got a question and something I think could be a good conversation between the 3 of us. I recently saw somebody who's well respected in the hobby post a big long, had a really long post about questioning whether some of these YouTubers are faking finds, and what he was saying, and it's come up and with me as well. I've wondered this because I've been doing this for a long time. Gypsy's been doing a long time, and there's people that every single week are just hitting good finds on these YouTube videos. And don't get me wrong, I know some of them are pieced together and everything else, but do you think some people are faking finds? Do you ever run across a video and you're like, oh, because I do. I mean, I don't want to call anybody out or, anything like that, but what do you think?
There's this one channel, Zero Discrimination, and I tell you, no.
Oh, man.
You know what, Mike? I see it come up, too. I see it come up all the time. It comes up from people in my chat that are watching some of my live stream stuff, asking me my opinion on it. And my opinion is this, is I can't tell whether they're faking it or not. Mm-hmm. And I really don't have the energy to kind of try to figure it out. I tell you what, there's a channel out there, I forget the name of it now, but he's a gold hound. He's a gold prospecting channel. Mm-hmm. Not really metal detecting, but mainly gold nuggets. And I know 100% without fail that is a fake channel as far as he's not finding real gold. Yeah. I guarantee 100%. And I've noticed that, and I've actually pointed out to a friend of mine. I said, hey, check this out. Wow, man, like how much painted rock can you get away with, and it was really, really obvious. And but that's the only one that I can say 100% that I know without a doubt from my own experience. But Mike, I haven't been around that long as you guys, so I mean, it would be really hard for me to tell whether somebody's faking it or not.
Mm-hmm. I come across a group. A Facebook group a while back, and it really caught my attention, and I really like it. It's full of drama, of course. You're going to have that, but it's a group about faked finds and different things. And some people, there's all this drama, and what you find out is either people don't care, or they're really passionate about it, or they've been called out and they're upset. And it's really a great group, though, because what it is, there's some really good people behind it who, I mean, oftentimes things are posted and people will say, no, that's found, or, we strongly believe that's found. And it's more educational. But I think it's really necessary because we have these people getting into the hobby, and they watch some of these people making great finds every single week, and week in, week out, and they think they can just go out and do that. And, there's also stuff being sold, especially Civil War faked finds have really. So it's something I've kind of became pretty passionate about. I was just curious, you obviously watch more videos than me, and I was just wondering how often you come across stuff and you're like, I've got my doubts there,
Yeah. It's weird. I have a, there's my opinions based on me as a metal detectorist in this hobby. And, something happened on my channel I never thought would happen. The weekly dirt happened. And when the weekly dirt happened, and it's kind of been taken off a little bit and people really been enjoying it. And, Mike, I see that as entertainment. I really do see that as an entertainment show. It's there to entertain. And that question came up on a stream. Somebody said, aren't you afraid of or worried about some of these channels you're featuring are showing fake items? And my response to them, it would be the same today, is, there may be a chance that I get burned and show a channel that is showing fake finds. Mm-hmm. That could happen. But I'm here to entertain and put out an entertaining thing, and I don't know how I could ever try to, find out if things were real before I posted them or not. I mean, I would hate to think that I was getting duped there, but I'm sure there's going to be a where I feature somebody that found some gold coin and he's planted it or something. I just don't know. I couldn't tell. So, but and I'm there to show you the things that I saw that week that kind of wowed me and that kind of caught my attention. And so, if you want to, comment on those videos that I show and say, wow, you featured somebody that was obviously a fake coin. I'm not the most knowledgeable guy. I can't tell by looking at visuals.
Let me.
You know what I mean?
Let me tell you a little bit about myself first. I would never do that. First off, I like if I hate a YouTube video or even if I thought something was faked, I might not give it a thumbs up. But if I like a video, I'll thumbs up. I don't reply. I don't start trouble. I don't want to. But Bill here says, who cares if someone fakes finds? Karma will eventually bite them in the butt. Focus your energy on doing things right yourselves. Bill, I agree with that, and I've done that for so many years. I've never called anybody out. But I think the Facebook group is kind of important because people new to the hobby and people that are out there just trying so hard, you wouldn't believe how often somebody will find something on Facebook that they question, and somebody will go find where it was sold on eBay. The exact same coin or the exact same object. And those people are hurting our hobby. So I do think, that I don't know. I mean, it's a really controversial, boy, I can't spit that out right, issue. Please don't think I'm giving you a hard time or, hey, if you ever posted something, I know you wouldn't do it on purpose, and you don't know. You never know. In no way am I giving you a hard time or questioning you, and please don't think that. You were talking and I was thinking about this, it's like, I was just wondering if you come across, that's all.
Oh, it's definitely out there. I mean, it's definitely on people's minds. I guess it's not, for me, when people, I always think people discover the hobby the way I discover the hobby. Coming into it, you get a metal detector, you go out, you find some things, and you're thinking then that the find is what it's all about. Because you're finding these things, and you're like, cool, I found a Canadian penny. Oh, my gosh, right in my backyard. Oh, I found then that, graduates. So I found my first silver, and that graduates up and up and up. But as you get into it and you become a detectorist from somebody that's just playing around with a machine and you actually become a detectorist, at least to me, the happiness and the thing that keeps you into this hobby is not the find as much as it is the research and the camaraderie and sort of the community and sort of the search for it. You're out in the wilderness, you're out in beautiful country, you're looking up things that used to be there. Your head's constantly on a swivel. You're looking at every little piece of dirt land, the old house, abandoned farm that you drive by. You're looking at it just thinking, oh, I wonder what could be there. I wonder what could be there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I just think that because that's the way I came up, I thought, I just think that, and maybe it's naivety, you know, maybe I'm naive about it, but I just think that maybe that's what other people come into it for. And I'm sure that after a little while, it becomes less about the find and more about the pursuit. But who knows? I do know one thing, watching all these videos, and I will comment on it. And it's probably because of this, because of fake finds and groups pointing stuff out. I see a concerted effort on videos, highly concerted effort, more and more and more and more of people showing the stamp in the clod, making sure they show, look, right. That's right where that coin was. You know, it's on their mind, definitely on their mind. Look, that's, you know, I didn't just put this down there. Look at the impression, look at the imprint, you know. I
think that there's so many things coming out faked that are being proven faked that people feel like they have to show that a little bit more. And that's kind of sad, but if we could, you know, kind of stop, that group has through their effort. And I mean, one guy's an archaeologist background, had been detecting since he was a kid. He knows his stuff. And, you know, they've actually shut down people who are doing that or made it aware. And I don't think they have any malicious intent or anything. It's just like, hey, you know, I mean, he comes from a Civil War area, and he's seen stuff get sold that was absolutely faked. And then that stuff goes into collections, and then it's part of our history that shouldn't belong there. And I think, you know, and then people trying to sell finds that have been faked, you know, that kind of stuff. And that kind of, I get what they're doing. It's just, but you're right. People showing the impression in the dirt and doing more live digs and stuff, and that's almost a shame. But yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I know I got
coins and finding Civil War artifacts. You know, two different things in my book. You know, like if somebody's selling fake Civil War artifacts, yeah, shame on them, and absolutely let's expose those people. That's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. But you know, it's hard for me to tell when I'm watching somebody pull, you know, you know, large.
I don't think I could ever tell. I mean, yeah, exactly. Well, when I watch a lot of videos now, and then I've heard some channels get accused of fake finds and stuff, and you can, from, you know, me being a digger for 20 years, sometimes, I mean, like, let me just point out one thing. I won't name the channel or anything. It was someone was doing a river hunt, and someone in the comments, I commented on the video, and someone in the comments said, "Oh, that was obviously, you know, planted or faked," and the item looked very polished, mm-hmm. But I will say that some brass objects that I've dug out of the river can become polished by the, you know, what am I trying to say? You know what I mean?
Like the water and
exactly,
almost getting tumbled.
And yeah, it's basically getting polished naturally. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's sad that a lot of people do accuse some people. And I know there's, like you said, there's probably are bad people that are out there faking finds, and it's sad because the people that are out there really putting in the hard labor and hard work, just like what DK said earlier about it. I mean, sometimes I'm like, for instance, this weekend I hunted 2 different yards. I don't have any video. My best find was a little toy that I dug and modern clad. Well, I did film twice while I was there, but none of that will probably even make my videos because it's just nothing notable. And I think that a lot of times what a lot of people don't realize is that sometimes women go out 3 or 4 or 5 times a week or so and not find anything that notable, and then boom, sometimes we just, we do our research, we get out there and we just boom, 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 and we find some really amazing stuff, and that makes our channel. And I know DK, you definitely know how that goes, because sometimes you get out there and you just don't. I mean, we all know we dig a ton of trash and pull tabs, and you're like, nobody wants to see that, so it doesn't make a cut.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, I guess if we did film that, it would give. Sorry, Mike. If we did film that, I guess it would show, the more realistic side of metal detecting, because we all know that's what we're, the majority of the stuff we're pulling up is basically trash. But if you're a nut like me, you see a story in that trash, and you see Tony and my buddy Tony and I. He's there in the chat right now. 5280 Adventures. He's my digging partner. We were out this weekend and we just found a bunch of trash. But boy, I mean, trying to take a look at a piece of trash, trying to figure out what the heck it is and where it could have possibly come from is part of the fun,
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I got us off right off the rip and on a odd subject. It's just something that's been on my mind. That group, one of the reasons that I even bring it up, I used to hunt with somebody that I taught them how to use their detector and everything. And they took off and they were just doing so good and finding all this stuff. And the moment I realized what was going on, like this person would find stuff that way predated the site, and, silver coins, I'd find 5 and he'd find 10. And, I didn't even wonder until this person pulled out a shiny copper coin out of a field. That I've never seen that happen. Never, ever, ever. And, it's all of a sudden it dawned on me like, oh, I got it. And, I think it's sad, and I'm not trying, not a big deal needs to be made about it, but I think it does affect our hobby. And I think more than some people realize. But, what was I going to say here? 5280 Adventures, in Ohio Relic Hunter, which is Bill, said, most people are good. That's right. And, that's the good thing about it. Most people are really good and honest in this hobby. But, let's change the subject. Let's get off of that. What do you think, Gypsy? Sorry, guys. So how long you been, DK, how long you been detecting?
Not long, man. I am really a rookie. A few years ago now. Now, I've always wanted one. I'd wanted one for a long time. I can remember being a kid in Northern California and going out to the beaches there with my parents, and seeing people using detectors out there. And I think my dad instilled in me sort of this want to go explore and to kind of, treasure hunting. He was always into trying to find some treasure or something hidden in books and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
He just had all these ideas about him, you know what I mean? Like he'd go to the dumps and come back with books that he found there, hoping that they'd be first editions and worth some kind of money. I mean, so he was always this real wishful thinking, treasure hunting man that had a real love for life. And when we'd be out there at the beaches and seeing these guys with metal detectors, I was like, I wonder how they work. I wonder what they're finding. Like, are they really finding anything good? And, then you grow up and go through your teens and all that stuff, and you lose track of it, and it's not important to you. But I started gold prospecting about 5 or 6 years ago with my son, and I was mentioning to my wife, man, I really wish I had a metal detector. I'd probably shoot, go nugget shooting and stuff. And I was looking for this Gold Bug 2 on Craigslist and stuff, and trying to pick one up, and just could never afford it. They were about $750, and I could just never swing that. And so my wife one year found some really cheap, Black Friday deal, and bought it for me for Christmas. And I remember I was like, wow, this is a metal detector, you know. I knew nothing about it, though. I didn't know if it was a good one, a bad one, if it was a toy. What did I have here, you know? So I went and did some searching online, and that's how I discovered this guy out there, the Hunter GT. The Hunter GT had put out a video, full review and use video, just an awesome video. And that was my first exposure to any kind of YouTube metal detecting videos. I didn't know they existed. And so I watched this review video. He taught me all about my machine. I went out in the backyard, and like I was talking about earlier, first target was a 64 Canadian cents. Second find was a 925 ring in my backyard. Wow. So I was pretty much hooked.
That's very cool. Hey, something I want to say, I notice a lot, whether it's online or in a phone conversation or on the show, when I ask somebody who's, you know, how long they've been detecting, if they haven't been hunting for years, they go, oh, you know, not real long. And I almost hear a bit of almost embarrassment in some people's voices. And, you know, I've met guys that have been detecting 20 plus years, or people, I'm sorry, Gypsy, and they really don't have a lot of knowledge. And I've met people that have been doing it 6 months that teach me things, and I learn from them. So I don't know why that is. I don't know if certain social media platforms or what, if they, or I feel like people sometimes feel a little beat up for being newer to the hobby, or look at it as maybe they're not knowledgeable enough or something. And I think that's not true. Not true.
Yeah. Well, I know I have so much respect for people that have been detecting for a long time. I belong to a treasure hunting club, and it's just filled with people that have been detecting for 30, 40 years, you know? Mm-hmm. So I'm surrounded by people that have been detecting 30, 40 years. So when I say that, I know where it's coming from me. Okay. It's coming from a point of, you know, I hear all these stories, I hear all the knowledge these people have that I surround myself with, and I'm just not there yet. I don't, you know, I'm learning all the time. I'm probably going to always be learning. You know, I don't ever want to stop learning.
Right.
But you know, my activity in it hasn't been as long as some of these other people. Now, mm-hmm. I'm perfectly fine telling you, I think I'm really great at, you know, research, and I'm just as passionate as people that I'm doing it 30, 40 years. It's just I haven't been, you know, you asked me how long I've been into it, and that's about it, you know. But you're right. I do say it with a tone of, you know, not as long as some of these people that I'm used to being surrounded by, that type of thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I don't feel bad about it. It's just where I'm at, you know.
Yeah. The few times I've thought, I'm always learning, but, you know, the few times I thought, wow, I do know a lot. Usually about that time, somebody that's been in the hobby just a short time will teach me some good lessons. So, you know, it's best to just be humble, keep learning, and you'll be amazed at what you learn.
Yeah. How long you been doing it, Mike?
About 23 years now.
Yeah. 23 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And whereabouts? Like what part of the country? All over the place, or did you mainly hail from one area?
Most of my detecting has been done in Ohio. I would be what you'd consider a relic hunter, field hunting where old house sites were and stuff that are just farm fields now or woods. And about 2.5 years ago, I moved to Texas, and since then, I'm going to be real honest, my best find is still clad. I'm in a tough area, and it is what it is. It's been a whole new learning experience for me. So, yep.
And then how about you, Gypsy? How long you been? You said about 20 years, or?
Yeah, it's been about 20 years, and now there's some years in there, like when I had my children, that I didn't get to go, you know, as often as I liked. Mm-hmm. But yeah. 20 years, and I've used all types of different detectors, and I'm like you were explaining when you first come on, DK. I mean, my mind, when I'm driving down the road, continually is on metal detecting. I'll see a little vacant lot or, an old, especially like going off the beaten path. I love taking a drive just out in the middle of nowhere, and I'm like, ooh, there looks like there used to be an old house. Oh, there's an old well. And I'm looking for all the signs, constantly. Once it's a part of you, it's something you just can't shake.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, have you always been over in the Texas area, Gypsy? Or
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
I said, have you always been over in the Texas area, or have you kind of detected in other areas?
So I born and raised in Texas. Lived out of state for about 3.5 years in Louisiana, and detected, of course, while I was there. And but basically, anytime I get a chance to travel, though, I'm always, bringing the detector. So I remember going on a cruise years back and bringing the detector and detecting, on a beach in Cozumel. And just everywhere I go, I have to have my detector with me, because you just never know when the opportunity is going to arise.
That's great. That is great.
Yeah, the same. Head's always on swivel. I was trying to think. Yeah.
I've used a lot of detectors over the years as well. What detectors have you used, DK?
I have currently have 3, and I have all of them are from the same parent company. They're all First Texas products, and right now I'm using a combination of T2 from Technetics and one of their new Patriot models, which basically is fashioned after a Fisher F70. So, so that's my go-to machine is the Technetics Patriot, and then I use my T2 when I'm going after like the relics and stuff. It's got a real high iron range, higher end iron range to it versus the Patriot. So if I'm going after just relics wide open in a field, going after iron and anything else I can find, then I'll take my T2 and open it up and listen to everything. But if I'm gonna discriminate about, down to whatever I want to do, if I'm coin shooting, or if I want to get picky, then I'm bringing the Technetics Patriot.
How do you like
and then
the
I
Patriot?
Go ahead. I started with an old bounty hunter type. I had an old bounty hunter model that I started with, but
okay. How do you like that Patriot? I'd like to talk about that a little bit.
Sure. I've come to learn it. I definitely haven't mastered it yet. I'm still trying to. It's been fun being involved in the online community because you get to meet some people there. I've ran into some really knowledgeable people
that'll help
in some certain forums that have a lot of knowledge regarding the Fisher F70. So the Patriot is absolutely a Fisher F70, hands down, no differences except for different graphics and soft buttons instead of hard buttons. And it's a 13 megahertz. It's a
kilohertz.
It's got kilohertz. It's got sensitivity setting. It's got a threshold setting, discrimination all the way up to silver. It's got you can set it up so many ways. This is what I like about the machine is depending on the condition you're going into, you can try and set it up to be as advantageous as possible. Even to something as silly as we recently went to a planted seeded hunt. Okay, here in Colorado, it's part of this treasure hunting club, and every year they have this huge hunt that they put on called Rush to the Rocky. And it's an incredible time. You get to meet so many great people, and it's really more about the camaraderie and hanging out because all the hunts are seeded. But it's a different kind of hunting, There are it's competitive where you want to swing fast, So you need a real fast response time. That Patriot's got a super fast response time. You want to be able to actually lower all the settings so all you're hearing is the stuff right on the surface. It's got the ability to do that. So it's just screaming at you and ignoring everything else. And so I mean, you know, no matter, it's got frequency shift button on it. So if you're interfering with other detectors, there was some people there with some other detectors that I was interfering with, or they were interfering with me. We're getting a lot of static from each other. So I was able to real quickly hit that frequency shift button and get rid of that and can carry on our way, you know. And so I really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'd like to eventually have one of those. I've heard really good things about them, and I'll tell you something funny, and in no way do I mean this negative or anything. Me and the T2 hate each other. I've just come to learn. I've actually owned 3 of them, and the reason I've owned 3 is because I've tried to conquer it, and I just can't do it. And I know people personally that just, it's their favorite detector, or it's their favorite relic detector, and they talk about the incredible depths and how good it does in mineralized ground. And I just, like, I pride myself that I can learn any detector, and that T2 has eluded me. I just cannot. I know it's a good detector. I mean, it's me. It's not the detector, but me and that detector do not get along. We are not friends. We are not friends. But
yeah, it's a bit different, even a bit different than the Patriot, you know, and what you got to do with it. And yeah, you're right. Some people absolutely love it. And like I said, I only bring it out when I'm going after relics, and I open it up, and I need to do that more often just to learn it more myself, because I find myself relying on the Patriot, you know, probably more than I should. I should probably bring the T2 out more often just so I'm continually hearing everything with it and trying to, you know, decipher what's going on with it. But yeah, I've known some people that absolutely love it, and that's all they hunt with, and from parks to fields and even on the beach. For me, my main machine is that Patriot for sure. Now, what were you coming from, Mike? Were you coming from like a PI machine or something, trying to learn the?
Oh, no. I've used
T2 or okay.
I've used, I mean, I've used just about everything out there, even some of the detectors from Europe. And I can usually, you know, like right now I have a Rudis Alder 71, and it's not even offered here in the United States. So there's nobody talking about it in the United States. A lot of the YouTube videos are not in English, and I've only found a couple, and I haven't found any videos really showing you how, but I feel like I'm almost mastered that. Not only do I know how to use it and stuff, I mastered it with no help but the manual, and so I'm pretty good at that stuff, and it's a pretty complex detector. And put the T2 in my hand, and it's just like, I don't know what's going on here. It's just a really hot detector. I sell detectors through Digger's Den, and Brian has a T2, and he loves it. He's in Virginia, and he gets great depth out of it. That's his like go-to relic detector. He's got a PI, he's got a GPX, and but he loves that T2. And he said, Mike, it was really hard for me to learn, really hard. But he said once I learned it, he goes, it's kind of his go-to relic detector. But man, those things, they just, like I said, I've had 3 of them trying to conquer it, and it's just not been done. Not been done.
Now, the detector you use, where are they made? That Rudis you talked about. I heard you talking about with Chris the other day when you had him on.
Yeah, Rudis is out of Poland, and I did a show with. I know this is butchered up, but it's AREK, and I just call him Eric. I actually did a podcast with him, and great guy. It's a small company. The owner's an engineer. He's been engineering the detectors, and he's also hardcore detectorist. So you add that mixture up, and he's putting out some really incredible detectors. Very incredible. But
yeah, I hadn't heard of him until I was listening to your show that day.
Yeah, I think all the manufacturers have some really good detectors out there. You know, I'm not I guess I am a little bit loyal, but I think they all have some good detectors out there. I do.
Well, they all try to. I mean, that's their business, right? They're all trying to put up the best product they can, and it seems like the Knox right now is really hot on the market. Everyone seems to really be using that Equinox 800 and having a lot of good, luck and fortune with it, and that seems to be the one everyone's trying right now. And just before that, it was the Max, right? AT Max. Everyone's trying to get their hands on one of them, and who knows what's coming next? You might know what's coming next, Mike.
I really like.
Business.
You don't hear about them in the United States much yet, but you do. The multi-cruiser, the Macro Noctas. I think if you listen to that show, I'm sure I said I think they're the most innovative company right now. They are just really putting out some good stuff. And, to be honest with you, I think, they all have some good stuff, but I think the U.S. companies have kind of fallen behind. And I think if they want to stay in the game and stay relevant, they all kind of need to step it up some. And that's my opinion. I mean, when you've used some stuff out of Europe and stuff, it's like, wow, it's pretty. That Rudis, I think, would blow most detectors away. The multi-cruiser's amazing, and although all you hear about is the Knox, I think it would hold its own. I know guys that have had both and got rid of the Knox, because they both kind of came out around the same time. And I'm sure vice versa. Now, I haven't heard that, but I'm sure that there's been people that had both and got rid of the multi-cruiser, but I haven't heard of that. I think I did hear of one, but I've heard several. I know of several people who have bought, they both kind of came out at the same time, bought them both, and have since moved on away from the Equinox. And but you take the big companies here, and I think they've kind of fallen back a little bit. Did I put Gypsy? Is Gypsy? I bet Gypsy's.
I'm here.
I bet if we had her on video, she'd just be rolling her eyes like, "Here goes Mike on another one of his rants. Here he goes."
No, not at all. And something I've found over the years, because I've tried different machines, like back when I used to sell machines a long time ago, when I was a dealer, and I tried. Then I remember, that's when I had the opportunity to try many different brands, and there was just some machines you really connect with. I don't know,
Right.
Maybe they just really, you click with, this works, it just works so smoothly for you, and then other machines, I just was like, it's not for me. And
it might be a great detector.
Brands, but yeah, I've, exactly. At the time, some of those machines were, top machines in that particular brand. But for me, it didn't do what I wanted. It wasn't finding what I usually was finding. A lot of that was beach detecting, and when I lived in the beach, and these other brands, a lot of them just didn't do what my other machine was doing. But I tried many brands, and there was just a few machines that just didn't
didn't click with you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, please don't think I'm putting down Technetics or the T2. I know. I mean, I know what it's capable of. I've talked to people, and it's great, but it's just one I have no use for. And, it's been vice versa. There's been detectors I like that some people don't like. You know what I mean? It's just
Exactly.
And I think that's something I will say to somebody new to the hobby. If your detector isn't doing what you want it to do, I don't care how popular it is, move on. I know people, including myself, that get stuck on a detector. When I was new to the hobby, I picked up one of the most popular detectors out, high-end detector. I never found anything good with it. I was always struggling with it. I was always changing settings, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's a great detector. You just got to learn it. You got to learn it." And man, that wasn't a good detector for me. And I shouldn't have listened to everybody, and I should have got rid of it. It just wasn't for me. And I really, looking back, that's one thing I wish I would have changed about it. I stuck with that detector too long. Almost made me quit the hobby over it. And the next detector I got, I probably found more in the first month than I did the like years I had that other one. In the first month, no kidding. So yeah, like, I would suggest move on. Move on. If it's not clicking with you, move on.
So
Yeah, I saw somebody say the other day in some comments, he said that, the best detector is the one you learn to master and that you find stuff with. You can learn to master a machine, and if you're not finding stuff, maybe it's time to look elsewhere. But, if you master a machine and you're finding stuff with it, I mean, who is anybody else to say anything about that machine? I mean, that's your machine, and you're finding stuff with it. Stick with it, unless you just feel personally like you want to try to move up or move, sideways or whatever you want to do. But it's really about sticking with that machine. And
I get caught up in it too. Don't get me wrong, but these people who lose their minds over a new detector, it kind of is funny in ways like, all of a sudden everything else is obsolete. There's a detector that's been around. It's been out over 10 years, and it's in my top 3 detectors. It's more specialized, the E-Track, but to this day I have not found anything better than an E-Track for deep silver coins. And I think there's some detectors that come close now, but it's still one of the hottest detectors you could have for deep silver coins and in trash even. Not much of a relic detector. It's not real good with jewelry, but it's still my number one choice. Like if I was in Ohio hunting old house sites looking for silver, that's what I'd be using. So, and people, the new thing comes out and everybody jumps on it and they're so excited and they're getting stir crazy because it's a week late from when it was supposed to be released, and I'm just like, oh Lord, calm down.
it's great if you're selling them.
Yeah, it's great to sell them, but I don't know. Say something, Gypsy.
I was just thinking, that's so true. I mean, if a machine's working for you, I've seen a lot of people, even in some of the YouTube, DK, you could probably attest to this. I've seen some of the channels that they'll be using a certain machine, and they've been using it for a while, and it's really doing well for them. And then they'll buy a new machine, not that they won't get rid of that machine. I'm sure some have or will or do, but I've seen a few lately that I've watched videos where they were using a certain machine and they bought another machine that was, brand new on the market, and they take it out and they're like, they haven't mastered it yet.
Yeah.
And they keep going back to that other machine, and that's okay. It's okay to do that,
That's I got a real quick.
Watch the video.
I'm sorry. I got to. I know I'm talking a lot. I'm tired, so I'm just talk. I wasn't there personally, but several people told me about it years ago in Ohio when the DFX, probably a year or two after the White's DFX come out, they had a DFX only hunt at an old Boy Scout camp, and this old guy showed up with I don't remember which model. I'm almost positive it had a meter. If it even had a meter, I think it was a single tone detector. It was a White's. Somebody had told me, even recently I brought it up, and they said, Mike, it had duct tape on it. Duct tape was holding part of it together. And everybody was kind of chuckling behind his back.
Yeah.
Not making fun of him, but like, oh Lord, look at it, and they've all got the newest DFX and stuff, and at the end of the day, well, I mean, and people had watched him. He dug, if I remember right, he dug way more silver coins than anybody else. And that goes to show you, look, your machine has to have the capabilities. And that's very true. But there is really something to be said about learning a detector in and out. There's still guys, believe it or not, that are using single tone, no screen, old Fishers, Tesoros that go out there and just kill it. And before they're a single tone, and they'll tell you what they think they're going to dig, and 99% of the time they're right. Oh, this is jewelry. Oh, this
Exactly.
is a deep silver coin. It's amazing.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody
so
compared
true.
to them guys.
And when you said that about the duct tape, I only laughed because my Mind Lab that I have, that I still have, that I rarely use anymore, has duct tape on it because it's just sometimes.
I laugh too because my digging partner there had duct tape on his.
Really?
That's funny.
Yeah,
But,
I think the first time I met him, his arm cuff was all duct tape. But
yeah, that's what broke on me was my arm cuff, and anyway. So sometimes you just do what you got to do.
I need an old Explorer or an E-Track, but man, they sell for so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Even used, it's like, wow, it's hard to find a decent deal, but man, those are some of the best deep silver coins, coin detectors I've ever owned. I think my E-Track, I found more of my E-Track than everything else combined, probably. Thing's a silver magnet.
back up what Gypsy said. I do watch a lot of videos preparing for my show, and I've seen a lot of people switch to the AT Max that are back with the AT Pro now, just because for the simple reason is that they've mastered that Pro. To them, maybe that's what they learned on, or that's what they just sunk into, and they just can't get away from it. And they'll try the AT Max, and which is a brilliant machine, I'm sure. But I always see these videos; they're always coming back, and I'm just back with the Pro. I'm nailing stuff with the Pro, and it's either they don't want to put in the time to try to master the Max as much as they put in the time with the Pro, or if it's just too different for them, and maybe too sensitive, maybe, and they're back on the Pro. So I do see that an awful lot.
Yeah, that was kind of me having a hard time switch, at first. I mean, it's a learning curve. People think that the machine is so closely related to the Pro, but it's really a different machine, and it takes a little longer to master. The Pro is a much more simpler machine in ways, and it took me a while, and even still I feel like I'm still learning the Max at times, because I'll remember, well, on the Pro it did this, or the numbers were this, or whatever, and then I'll go, well, this is totally, it's a different machine, totally, and it just takes a little longer, I think, with the more complicated machine, or I shouldn't say complicated, I should say advanced, with a more advanced machine sometimes, to master it. And that goes for any machine or any brand. Sometimes it just takes a little longer, but if the other one's working for you much better, I mean, sometimes it could be best for that person to just go back to the other one or use it as a backup, etc.
Barb said the AT Pro is good for seeded hunts, and I don't doubt that, but I think the AT Pro is a lot better than for seeded hunts. I mean, I've got a friend in Ohio that new to the hobby and new, of course, brand new with the AT Pro, and so we would compare signals, me helping him out, and that AT Pro was so impressive, and that's most of my experience with an AT Pro. Although I own one, it's hung on the wall since I traded it. I actually traded it for my last T2, and I haven't even used it yet. But most of my experience comes with him and going over a lot of targets with the E-Track, which is a killer detector and high iron and deep coins, and just really impressive. Time and time again.
I talk about my hunting partner a lot, and we go out a lot together, and he's got an AT Pro. He also has an AT Gold, and I bring out the Patriot, and I also have the T2 with me. And a lot of times, I mean, it's probably 50-50 the amount of times I've gone over an area he's gone over and found something, or he's gone over an area I've gone over and found something. So it's really about that detectorist and learning that machine, I think, about knowing what you're listening for, knowing what you're going for. And it's always been interesting, whenever we go over each other's spots and find stuff on each other. It's always a big poke at each other. Hey, you left this silver quarter sitting there over around here, and don't worry, I picked it up. I got it for you.
That's always going to happen with different. That's why I tell people, I think you should master a detector, of course, but I think it's just like, metal detecting. In most cases, none of us just relic hunt in fields, or just relic hunt in woods, or just go coin shooting, or just go, we do so much, most of us, that to me it's almost crazy to have
There?
Yeah, they asked. I thought I had Skype fixed to take calls, but I cannot take calls. So, guys, I'm sorry, we still can't do call-ins. I don't know what's going on with this stupid Skype, but it's like, imagine working on your car. Hello. Think I lost everybody. Super. If you're listening, don't call in. We're having issues. It's matter of fact, it's stopping everything. I gotta get these guys back.
Here,
Are you guys there? Okay, there we are. There you
It
are.
could be that someone was here.
Yeah, please don't call in. It's messing Skype up. Matter of fact, it's freezing. I don't know. No, Jeff, I don't want to talk to you. Don't call. No, it's not that, Jeff. We're Skype issues, man. But, it would be like rebuilding an old classic car with a hammer, or, one pair of pliers, and it just, you can't do it. I mean, and I'm a big fan of having multiple tools, and that's just myself. But they all do, even if you've got the best relic detector and all you do is field hunt, just having different technology sometimes is a huge game changer. You could take $1,000 detector. I'm just making all this up. $1,000 relic. It's the best relic detector on the market, and you find so much stuff with it. You could get a $500 detector that's different frequency, a little bit different coil setup, whatever, and come back and find a bunch more. I mean, do you agree with that, Gypsy?
Yeah, and I think that's why if you talk to a majority of detectors, a lot of them, most of them have at least 2 machines, at least. I mean, and then if you're like me and you, we got 5 or 6 machines each. And that it's because we use those different machines in different scenarios, different situations. There's certain ones that I'll use, on highly mineralized soil, beach, and etc. And other machines that you would want to use specifically for relic hunting, or depending on what type of soil or situation. And I think a lot of people, if I mean, I hear that a lot, is they have more than one machine, or they have at least two machines, one as a backup.
Yeah.
And I think, I have, I can see myself maybe getting two more machines based on,
exactly.
it kind of goes along with the question. Kind of goes along with the question that was in the chat about what are some of my places I'd like to hunt and visit and hunt someday. And one of the places is DIV. I would love to come out to DIV and dig out there in Culpeper, but I'm not doing it with the machines I've got right now. I'm going to need a PI machine probably to do that, unless I want to stick to the bushes or something like that. But so maybe a PI machine someday. And then none of my machines are waterproof. So when I'm out with my buddy and he's got his AT Pro and it starts raining, I'm ducking and covering. He's out there just loving it, just swinging away, getting all the relics.
I remember doing that with some of my machines when it would be raining. I would, my Mind Lab, I used to put a plastic bag.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to detect it a little longer.
Or if
I didn't want to go in.
Or if it gets out of control, you're taking your rain jacket off and putting it over your detector while you get soaked.
You're trying everything you can.
Whatever it takes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay,
for sure.
so I'm going to change the subject for a little bit, if you don't mind. DK, so I know most all of us get asked this question over and over, and I'm sure you've answered it many a times. But do you have a favorite find that you want to talk about?
I guess I have I have a lot of finds that, and what I think is the most interesting finds are the ones that I don't know about, and I go and discover something fantastic about it, something I never knew before.
Right.
And those become some of my favorite finds. I mean, I've gotten a lot of jewelry. I've gotten, gold and diamond ring, wedding anniversary bands and stuff like that from parks. And those are cool, wow finds. If somebody wants to be wowed and say, what'd you find? Oh, here, check this out. I'm in Colorado, so we only go back to about maybe 1850s at the earliest, 1870s in the area where I'm at. So we're not getting too extremely old. So when I find things that are early 1900s, I'm pretty excited. If I ever break into the 1800s, I'm really excited. And there's just not a lot of stuff like Civil War stuff here. And those are some of the finds that I wish I could find and haven't found yet.
Right.
But it would sure be exciting if I could. And so some of the things that I found that are most exciting to me are stuff like, I found some old Tootsie Toy dollhouse furniture from the 1930s. That was pretty cool.
Oh,
it was on this old abandoned farmhouse from the 1890s. It was like, okay, what was it doing there at the place where I found it? Some little girl out here playing with this or whatever. It was kind of cool. And in the same farm, I found some old oil lamp parts that most people just would throw away as junk, but they got that patent date on it. It was patented 1834. So I knew that's not when it was, maybe that's when it was manufactured, maybe it was dropped, but I sure saw that as an old kind of piece of relic. Stuff like, the Colorado tax tokens, I think a lot of people see them and they find a ton of them all the time, but I don't. And the only reason I'm prefacing a lot of this stuff is because I see a lot of videos and I see what a lot of people think of Colorado tax tokens, but to me, I never knew about them. I didn't know about that era of our history and why they were made, and so when I found it, and the place I found it, that became really special for me. So I went and looked it up and was able to research it and learn the story behind why they made them and what states offered them, what states didn't, and that became really cool for me. That first 925 ring that I found, that'll always be a very special find for me, just because it was probably the find that made me go, wow, you really don't know what can be right underneath that soil, And so, those are some of my favorite finds. Someday I hope to be able to find, we're up in some silver mining camps hitting some of them hard, at least the ones we can find permission for, or that we have permission to go. And, we're finding a lot of period pieces, but nothing, that's really jumping out at me. I know my buddy found like a general services button up there, and for us, that's awesome. It's like, that's pretty incredible for this area.
Right. That's cool.
Ran into a friend of ours what's that?
I was just going to say, I think Tony asked in the chat, he said, how's the metal looking? So did you find the metal?
How's that metal looking? Which one's that, Tony? Which one are you talking about in their chat? So we found, a lot of stuff, and then maybe he's talking about something I found that he he thinks is a wow item, and to me it's not on top of my list. So maybe we should ask him. Put it in the chat there, buddy. Which metal that I found are you talking about? I found a few.
Maybe it was somebody else. I don't know.
He might be talking. Oh, that was for. Yeah.
I think he's talking about something else. Well,
Derek. Derek.
That's one thing I love about this hobby, though, is like you said about the tax token. I remember the first time I found a tax token, and I think it was Oklahoma. I think it was an Oklahoma tax token, but I found it in Texas, and I found it in my grandmother's front yard. And I was like, what is this? I didn't know they existed. And then, went and did that research, and it's just fascinating. And that's what this hobby, repeatedly does. Every time you find, it may not, at times, you see, it may not be a rare silver coin or like you said, that sometimes it may seem more insignificant than others, but when you're digging something like that, or this is just a huge piece of our history that may not be that old, but it's just amazing, and it's new discoveries to us that we make every time, we discover something new like that.
It's a quick story. We were digging last weekend, and we were door knocking. We got this permission for 1927 house in this old neighborhood. And we talked to the man, the gentleman there that owned the place, and he was like, yeah, you go for it. And he was really interested. And he was like, what do you guys usually find? And we're telling him, and you could tell the wife, she really was not having it. She was behind the screen door, and she really was kind of like, why are you letting those guys dig holes in our yard? And, and he's like, oh, it'll be okay, So Tony and I are digging and stuff, and he pulls up this old Davy Crockett like belt buckle or like pin, right? It's this old Davy Crockett kids thing, with crossing long rifles on it. You saw the video, right? And the guy comes out and he said, you guys find something? And we both kind of go, well, yeah, we kind of did, because to Tony and I, that's a great find. So for this area, for Tony and I, that's really interesting, It's an old period piece. It's a period of the home, at the same time as the home, and obviously some little kid was out there playing with it, and it just is kind of a cool story. Well, we tell the guy, yeah, we kind of did. Well, he starts walking over to us. Well, here comes the wife, like as fast walking as you could possibly fast walk without running. She is beating down we're in this huge yard, and she's tracing across this yard. She wants to see this fantastic thing we find. She peeks over her husband's shoulder, and she goes, bah, that's nothing. And she turns around and storms back in the house. You know what I mean? And that's just it. That's the difference right there. That's the difference.
Right.
Some people are going to get it. Some people aren't. And, the husband was pretty impressed by it, and she obviously wasn't.
It wasn't gold.
Yeah, right. It didn't have diamonds on it.
Yeah.
Right.
What's this about
so
a gold
those kind of finds are so fun. Yeah, gold-plated coin story.
Oh, yeah. So, gold coins are sort of on the top of most people's bucket list, or a lot of people's bucket list. Boy, if you can find a gold coin, that would just be an amazing find. Well, I got this farm permission, and Tony and I were up north, up where I live, and we were digging at this place, one of his permissions that he had, and then he had to get going home, and I had to get going home, and so we're heading down the freeway. And I had just received this new permission to this farm this huge, like 300 acres with this old abandoned farmhouse on it. And so I pull over real quick. I just want to go spend an hour there and just spend a little hour there and do some swinging. And so underneath these trees, I get this target. It's a really odd target, kind of scratchy. And I dug down in there, and when I pulled back the dirt and scraped around a little bit, this gold coin came to view. And I'm telling you right now, guys, I've had the experience of finding a gold coin because I started shaking. I started feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm looking at it closer. It's got Spanish writing on it. It's got a big eagle on it. I don't know what I have just found. It's about the size of a nickel. And I go, what have I just found? And so I immediately called Tony, and I just think I found my first gold coin, having never found a gold coin before. And he goes, you got to be kidding me. And I'm texting him. I know he's driving, and I'm thinking, oh, God, please pull over, So I'm texting him pictures of it while I'm also trying to do research on my phone with it. So I did. I found a gold coin. However, it was plated. So before you get too excited, it was, you know what it was? And so here's the deal. It is one of my more favorite finds because of the experience I had and the experience that was tied to it. And that's what makes finds great to me is the experience you tie to them, Well, right. I did some research. It was actually a Mexican matrimonial token called an arras. Wow. And in some Mexican Catholic faith traditions, the groom will give the bride 13 coins. And they can be gold, silver, they can be plated. Most of the times they're plated. And he gives them to him. It's almost like a dowry or a promise, a symbol of promise. And he gives them to the bride, and they're called an arras. And there's usually 13 of them. And I had no idea about them. And that's what it turned out to be. And as I rubbed a little harder, when I got it home, I was with a toothbrush, and I was trying to clean it up. The gold started coming off. And I was like, it's plated. About a week later, Tony came back with me to that same farm, and he found another one about 10 feet away, same exact type. So we don't know what the story is there. Was that a story of, she showed back up maybe and said, take your coins and take away, take with you, I'm not marrying you, or was he saying that to her? And how'd they get scattered across an old 1890s farm field? We started calling that ranch the Ranch of Broken Dreams because of that. Because we just thought that maybe that was a sin of maybe a marriage gone wrong, maybe, that all these promise coins were scattered amongst the...
Yeah, you can about bet. You can about bet that's what happened.
You'll always remember it.
I will always remember that. Yeah.
That's a neat story. Well, you learned something new, though, even though you got the experience
of
finding the gold coin, but then you had the heartbreak, but still.
Since then I've watched videos with guys finding real gold coins, over in England and such. And, of course, it looks nothing like that now that I see what they actually look like. And, but, at the time, I didn't know what I had. I saw that Spanish writing. I saw that eagle. I saw that glint of gold. Man. And I was just like, oh, my goodness.
Hey, DK, you listened to last week's show. If you get a chance, go listen to my first one, which was with Andy. And I'm drawing a blank. Hold on. Let me look it up. Oh, what's Andy's name? Last name. There's only, 3 episodes out there. Go back and listen.
Andy Sampson?
Yeah, listen. Did you listen to that
Andy
one?
Sampson? I didn't. I haven't looked at that one yet.
Okay, I'm not gonna. You'll get a kick out of it, but trust me, I'm not gonna give it away. But go back and listen to that one. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's a real good story. Brian Harvey said DK has a rocker's voice.
Yeah, it's funny. I wonder why he says that.
Probably because you're dehydrated and stuff from the weekend. Be my guess.
My voice was all shattered because I was out in the sun all weekend and I couldn't breathe hardly. It was dry voice. I don't know. Once upon a time, I used to be a lead singer in a hair band cover band. Back in the 80s. Back in the 80s.
Oh, Lord.
That's so funny you said
cool.
that.
I love it. We learned something new about the DK.
Long time ago, many worlds ago.
That's funny.
That is so cool. Oh, man.
Yeah.
What else? We got
don't smoke. Don't drink very much.
Very much, he said. Yeah.
Very much.
I don't know that I have. I do have one question that I've been kind of on my mind. So when you do this, do you talk to each one of these people that you highlight and highlight their finds?
For the Weekly Dirt, which is my weekly series I put on every Sunday, I don't. I just capture video clips from each one of the channels. So I'm watching their videos all week long, and I see something that I like. And if it's people I've already reached out to ask the permission if I could do that, because I have to do that, or I guess I don't have to, but I've chosen to do that. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I'm sub to 460 channels. I probably have permission from about 280, just because that's the amount of effort I've put into that so far. It's a lot. But if I see a new channel that maybe I haven't asked permission for, I'll definitely ask permission before I go capturing clips from their channel. Because I give them all the credit in the world, of course. Right. But no, for that weekly series, I'm not talking to them. I'm just, I capture the clip, I watch it, I get it down, and then I do a commentary in between each one of the clips. So I'd be like, hey, everyone, check out this, like Gypsy. I've had Gypsy on a number of times, and hey, everyone, check this out from Zero Discrimination. Gypsy got a great channel over there. Let's check out what she was digging this week. And then I show the clip. And then immediately after the clip, I go, man, that was such a cool find. It was a cool bracelet. Wow. How would you guys feel if you found a badge like that? It's just a really cool find. Hey, if you're not fans of her channel, go on over there and check out her channel. Here's the link. The link's down below. So it's full promotion. It's full promotion for whatever channel.
Yeah, I've seen.
I just wanted, Yeah. Just wanted to kind of spotlight them.
Yeah.
But the Digger Spotlight show, the new show that I'm doing, Digger Spotlight, it's a full interview show, just like we're doing right now with video, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, I get it. I just didn't know. I guess what I'm getting at, I kind of figured you didn't. That'd be a lot of work. Have you had anybody upset yet or anything? I mean, I wouldn't think anybody would be, but you know how it can be a little weird. People can be a little strange.
Oh, I had no idea. You know what I mean? That first show of mine, the very first episode. I'm at episode 56 now. So the very first episode, I had no idea how these channels were going to react. And I'll be honest with you, I had the show put together. I had 4 channels picked out. I had reached out to them for permission, told them what I wanted to do. So here's this stranger, right, coming to them after they've done all this hard work of putting these videos out and putting these videos together with all the editing and all the stuff they do.
Right.
Here's this stranger to him saying, hey, I want to take what you've done and I want to put it out on my channel. And, you don't know me from Adam. And it was some pretty big channels I went with that first time, too. It was like, they have some pretty high subscriber rates or whatever numbers. And so I put it together and I just had it sitting and waiting. I was just waiting for permission. And I got 3 out of the 4 permissions, and the 4th permission took a long time to get. And when it finally came in, I was like, so I remember I was at dinner with my wife, and I go, oh, my gosh, I just got this last permission. I can't believe it. I'm going to go ahead and publish tomorrow. So that's what I did. I published the next day. And then once I had one, now I had something to show the others. Right. So when I'd reach out to other channels, I'd be like, hey, check it out. Here's what I do. Here's what I want to do. It's full promotion. I'm going to be nice to you. I'm not going to be. And you know what? No one, I get asked this question a lot. Has anybody ever said no to my requests? Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you that one channel, I won't say who they are, flat out said no, out of all the channels I've requested. And another channel put such restrictions on me that I couldn't use them. You know, they just I just couldn't use them. So out of all the channels I've approached, only 2 haven't worked out.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'd love to know who they are,
But
just
it's been
because
a lot
I'm
of
way
fun.
curious.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, this ain't
Yeah.
the place to do it or anything. But
Yeah.
good times.
Yeah. I see it as a win-win. You know what I mean? It's a win-win situation. You know, the channels get promotion for themselves. I get content that helps me out post weekly, and I can put stuff out there. I think it helps the community out. The community seems to really like it. I get a lot of notes and a lot of comments of people saying they really enjoy it. And so as long as that continues, you know, I'll continue to do it for sure.
Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it a couple times. It's hard for me to get time to watch videos and stuff. But it's very very entertaining. You do it in a very. I like your format. I like how you do it. It's quick. It's cool. It's real neat.
Thank you.
It's kind of like giving you the highlights of a football game or something. You know,
Right,
it's just
right.
yeah,
I don't have to.
really.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
There was an old show on called The Soup. I don't know what network was on it, but it was a guy who would stand up there and they would feature clips from the internet, and he would post them, and it was real funny. It was based on comedy, so it was a real comedy show. But I liked the fact that they were showing clips and he was commenting, and then they showed clips and he was commenting, and I liked that format. And I thought, well, I'm going to try to emulate that when I do this. But it's actually extremely difficult to be quick. You know, that's one thing. I got, you know, my biggest critic is my wife. I say, honey, what do you think of this? You know, what do you think of that? And she'll go, you got to quit talking so much. You know what I mean? You can tell I like to talk. You got to make it more about them than less than you. And I said, you're right. I got to do that. So I got to just get to the point. And I found the more I do that, you know, the better I think it comes off.
That's funny because I'm always telling myself that, like, I'm you know, I just love talking metal detecting, and sometimes we get guests, oftentimes, and I'm just like, the show will end and I'll be like, oh, I talked way too much. You know, I I know I do it. It's all bad.
Well,
We are
I've
worst
got
critic,
one more.
aren't we?
We are. I've got one more question for you, DK. So you were saying, okay, like you still occasionally film when you're out detecting, and do some of your own videos, and then you do your weekly dirt, and then you do your spotlight, and then you're also watching all these videos during the week. About how much time do you think you're putting into, you know, all this editing, everything? Do you have a guesstimate on the time?
Yeah, the weekly dirt takes up the most time, you know, because it takes all the video watching. Here's what I do. So usually throughout the week, you know, I'll watch videos on breaks or on lunch break or, you know, after work maybe for a little while. And then in the evenings, I'll usually catch a video or two in the evening. So, you know, a few times a week. And then, you know, come Friday night, if I don't have the channels picked up that I'm going to feature, I'll hit it pretty hard Friday night. And kind of watch a bunch of videos and really, because I'm only going back a week. So I only go because it's the weekly dirt. I don't go back further than that. So people always say, oh, I've had much better finds than that 3 months ago. And yeah, that's true, but this is the weekly dirt, and I'm only going basically a week back on what I've seen this week. And so I spend probably 5 hours, I would say, a week watching videos, and maybe another 4 or 5 hours editing to put a show together. And I'm usually doing that on Saturdays or Sundays or early morning Sundays at the last minute. Usually it's been lately. But what I like about the Digger Spotlight show that I'm starting to do is it's a live series, and it's a live streaming series. So I do put a lot of time in preparation, and I couldn't give you an estimate on time on that. It's just all over the place, and it also depends on the guest. Matter of fact, my next guest I have coming up is Saving History with S.C. Digger. So S.C. Digger's on the next show on October 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern on Digger Spotlight. And I'll probably put a lot of research in him because he has so much to offer. You know, he's been around for so long. He's been finding so many relics and so many great items. I'm going to do a lot of research on him probably, and make sure I'm prepared for that. But the show doesn't take any editing. You know, the show is live.
Right. That's nice.
Streaming, and it's either going to be okay or it's not going to be okay, and we just kind of go for it.
Right.
So I like those because they don't take as much. There's no editing, and it doesn't take as much preparation, probably as the Weekly Dirt shows. So it's manageable right now. It's manageable.
Right. What editing program are you using, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I have a program called Premiere Pro. It's made by Adobe, and it's just it's one I've been working with for quite a while, and I know it. And you know, I could probably use others. I could probably figure out others. I've been into computers for a long time, into audiovisual stuff for a while, and Premiere Pro is just the one I really like a lot. It goes pretty quick.
Awesome.
And I have a template set up. I kind of have a template set up for the Weekly Dirt, so it really is just popping things in, and then
I love your opener.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, the opener of it, the opening of the show.
Yeah, and your new closing your new opener to the Spotlight is really cool too.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? And both of those were made by the same person, and it is not me.
Wow. Really?
In the Weekly Dirt, the opening and all the lower thirds and all the end and all that stuff was made by Sanisha Desic. It goes by S. Desic on YouTube. He has his own YouTube page. He's out of Bosnia. He lives in Bosnia.
Wow.
And he's a graphics guy, and he sent that to me just out of the blue for the Weekly Dirt and said, "Here, if you want to use this, go for it." And I said, "This is amazing. Thank you so much." Right. And so when it was time for the Digger Spotlight, I reached out to him and I said, "Listen, would you be willing to make me something for this Digger Spotlight? And oh yes, I'm going to pay you. And I don't want to hear this. You're not going to take any money from me because I'm going to pay you for this." So we talked about it. We agreed upon a price. It wasn't very much, and I sent it to him. And you know, around YouTube, he has done many, many openers for people.
Wow.
You know, I've seen him different channels that give credit to him, and he's just like that. He'll just help you out. He does a great job, and he's a great guy. Love that guy. So thank you for that, Gypsy. Appreciate that.
Yeah, that is really awesome. I love your videos. They're all wonderful. So yeah, I was curious of how much time you put into it. I know sometimes mine, it just depends on what footage I have and how much I have to edit and go through where I was doing a live dig or it just turned out to be another pull tab or something like that. I do stick some of those in occasionally, but I try not to bore. Oh, it's another penny.
Yeah. That's the hard part, right? Trying to make that pull tab really interesting.
Yeah. So does anyone have any questions?
I think it was quarter order. What's that?
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I think it was quarter order one time that said, he was talking to me. He said, sometimes some of the things that I find, Ken, aren't that interesting, but I try my best to try to make them really interesting. And I said, "Man, you do a great job with it," because I just love that guy's channel, and he does a great job. I'm always like, "Whoa, a spoon! Oh my gosh!" You know what I mean? And it's always pretty interesting the stuff he finds.
He does. He makes it interesting. That's another thing that was it Chris from the UK? His channel. His guest last week on the UK series, Chris does the same thing. He makes some funny, makes up all these stories about his finds and all that. It's just so much fun.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I love that guy.
He is funny. Funny guy.
Yeah. Oh, look, a piece of pottery. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make myself a pottery hat. Then I'm going to wear this hat to the pubs, and everyone's going to go, "Chris, what a lovely pottery hat you have there." You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like this incredible, funny story out of a piece of pottery.
That's fun.
Oh man, I love it. So does anyone in the chat maybe have a question for DK?
Yeah, I haven't been paying too much attention to that.
It's pretty quiet tonight. Some nights
a
are
little
like
quiet.
that. Yeah, some nights are like that. It just depends, but yeah, not much going on tonight. I don't know. We don't get a lot of listeners live anyhow. People download and listen to it at work and everything else. So but it's a little extra quiet tonight. Seems like everybody skipped out on us. I probably when I was ranting, when I was on one of my rants, I'm guessing. Probably.
It was probably my story about the tax token. I think that's what did it.
No, that's pretty cool.
No.
You guys having on, man. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I really appreciate it for sure.
It was great having you on, and
yeah.
We appreciate you being here.
Absolutely.
I learned a lot about you, DK, and I really
okay.
I want to see a picture, a photo of that old band. Or you're gonna have to send one.
There's one floating around. It's infamous. I'll tell you what. It is not my proudest moment, but yeah, it's out there.
I love it.
Not his proudest moment. That's
That
funny.
is so cool.
I guess we can wrap it up, guys. I think it's time. I know I need some sleep. I hit a wall big time. So, boy.
Hopefully the baby won't keep you up tonight.
I hope not. I need some sleep.
Yeah.
But DK, thanks for coming on and keep in touch with us and yeah, well.
Sure, man. I'll be watching. Sure. I really enjoyed catching up with your show. I wasn't very familiar with it, and then when I started looking into it, and it just happened to run across you interviewing Chris Rogers is one of my favorites out there, and yeah, since then I've been trying to catch up on some of your other stuff. So you're doing a great job, man, and I really appreciate you having me on, and appreciate you wish you a future success, and Gypsy, I'm a big fan of yours and your channel. You just always impress me with the stuff you do, and in the river or elsewhere, and I love watching it, and you just keep on digging out there, and we'll keep watching you out there, see what's up. Yeah,
I appreciate it.
And I'll do a final plug if you don't mind. I'll just say that everyone, you can tune in over there at Adventures in Dirt. I also have a website, adventuresindirt.com. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter. You can even find me on Instagram. But adventuresindirt.com and my weekly series, The Weekly Dirt, every Sunday at 3 p.m. And twice a month, you'll be seeing episodes of Digger Spotlight is my live streaming event. And I got the next one coming up on October 10th at 8 p.m. with SC Digger. Should be a good time. So thank you guys very much. I really appreciate having me on.
Hey, it was great having you on. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
Good night.
All right. You guys have a good night. We'll see you. Good night, Mike.
You
good night,
too. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. We successfully made it. I apologize. I was up all night with our son last night, and I am just fading. I know I wasn't a lot of fun tonight, but I had a lot of fun, and enjoyed having DK on and Gypsy, and thank you all for tuning in, and have a good night.
The All Metal Mode podcast is sponsored by Digger's Den. If you are looking for a metal detector, get in touch with Mike or Brian. Together, they have years of experience with many different brands and models. They also truly enjoy what they do. You can contact them through Facebook at Digger's Den, visit the website at dddetectors.com, or give Mike a call. He makes it sound like it's so hard raising our boy, but trust me, he has time. 937-414-4578.